It has been a good journey. It has been a journey, of course, full of ups and downs, but also something to cherish, something to be very proud about. This was the examination where I could not smash things, and hence my confidence was severely beaten. I was shocked beyond belief when I couldn't qualify the mains examination.
What do you think are the three major challenges?
I think number one challenge is mentally preparing yourself.
What do you think are the three mistakes?
I think number one mistake is not committing to learning skills, and this is where things start blurring out. Every day in the morning I used to go to office thinking that when I come back I will prepare for UPSC. In my wildest dreams 5 years back I never thought that there would be something called as rebounds.
How do you look at this exam? What would be your perspective upon it? When we talk about your journey, then what was that time when you decided that maybe now is the time when I need to stop my UPSC preparation?
Everyone has to be realistic. After all, it is the time period of prime youth. Just totally wasting time.
Hello Akshat, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Jigyasu.
For our viewers, Akshat is a public policy veteran and co-founder of Rebounds. Akshat did his MA from the prestigious Delhi School of Economics in the economics. And then Akshat worked for Accenture for around a year in its business consulting wing. Then, just like a lot of you, Akshat decided to prepare for civil services, spent around 3 years preparing for it, appeared in main stage a couple of times. But when things did not work out, Akshat decided to explore something else. This was the time when he got into Pratham, worked there for around a year in its monitoring and evaluation division, then getting into the well-known, one of the biggest global public policy consulting firm named PwC. So Akshat worked here for around half a decade, then moving on to working with HSBC for around a year, and then senior manager role with the Economist Intelligence Unit, along with founding Rebounds. So
Thanks so much for the detailed introduction, Jigyasu.
So Akshat, just to begin with, when you came out of Delhi School of Economics, which is one of the most prestigious colleges in economics in India, what kind of life did you imagine? Did you imagine that you will be appearing in this podcast with me at some point of time?
Of course not. I mean, you plan a lot of things, right? But the way life works out, that is not as per what you plan. But all said and done, whatever I have done, whatever I have managed to do, whatever little I have managed to achieve over the last 15-20 years, it has been a good journey. It has been a journey, of course, full of ups and downs, but also something to cherish, something to be very proud about.
All right, that sounds interesting. So after graduating from Delhi School of Economics, you were working with Accenture and its business consulting wing, one of the best starts in the corporate world. At that time, what motivated you to prepare for UPSC? So was it like a childhood dream or something, some kind of trigger which happened or something else?
Yeah, so I think as with many people who prepare for UPSC, it started maybe sometime in school, back in my hometown, slowly, but definitely surely, this seed sort of, got in. That sometime in future, if everything goes well, maybe, I would like to prepare for this examination. It's a combination of two things, to be honest. These days, it seems a bit odd to me. But at that point of time, UPSC used to be the nirvana career or a job which would be, would give you a lot of prestige, a lot of power. People look up to you, right? And, there used to be this aura behind being a civil servant, being into IAS, IFS. You didn't know a lot about it at that point of time, to be honest, but you just knew that this will give you a lot of power, prestige, and of course, money. But when you are into school, money is less material. What matters is power and prestige. So, yeah, I was motivated by the same considerations, then your family members, parents sort of feed you stories of what you can do, what you can become, if you become a civil servant or an IAS officer. So, yeah, all of that sort of was happening during my childhood, and that sort of germinated that, okay, when you reach at a level or at a stage, you would like to go for this examination. And of course, the fact that your school goes well, your college goes well, you are doing well, you are throughout just smashing it, that also sort of creates that inevitability that at some point of time you are going to be taking this examination, because if you qualify this, that means you are the best in India, right? So that sort of, I guess, motivates not just me, but many people who prepare for UPSC. Similar background, you're doing well in school, you're doing well in college. So parents, friends, everyone thinks that you are up for it, right? So that was the same case with me. It was not like I got into Accenture, then I decided that, okay, It has to be UPSC. I somewhere knew at the back of my mind then UPSC it will be at some point in time. It just happened to be after Accenture.
All right, that's interesting. So basically, it was like a childhood innocent kind of dream,
Yeah, of
which
course.
just germinated, and whenever you get the right time,
Of course.
the seed converted into a plant.
Of course. So no one doubted, neither in my circle, my parents, or myself, because I was just smashing everything, school, college. So people thought that that is a natural extension of it. So I myself thought I should go for it. My circle, including my parents, thought I'm fit for it, and that is how it happened. No.
All right, that sounds interesting. But there is one thing which you said here. You mentioned that now when I look at it, it sounds a bit contradictory to me. But at that time, these were the motivations. So for a lot of candidates who do not have a lot of exposure, usually UPSC seems to be like the ultimate definition of success for them. But now, having acquired, tested, tried a lot of things, how do you look at this exam? If you get a chance to think about it right now, what would be your perspective about it?
It is an exam, that is fine. But it is an examination for a job or a role, right? And this is where things start blurring out, right? It is not an examination just to get some prestige and power. It is an examination to make a career into civil services. Okay. And career is not just about 1 year, 2 year. Career is not a degree. Career is not a post graduation. Career is like something which you want to do for, let's say, 50 to 60% of your life, right? Now, that career decision or career choice should be made by, you getting in a lot of information, not just about power, prestige, and rest of the other things which people talk about, but more material things, right? How is it like to be a civil servant? What do you do on a day in, day out basis? What are the good things about the role, the not so good things about the role? Of course, we as individuals might have our own definitions of good and bad, but whatever it is, the attributes of the characteristics should be absolutely clear before people should decide to plunge into it. It might be the case that maybe 15 years back, or if I go, further back, 20 years, 25, 30 years back, this might be the ultimate career you can aspire for when it comes to making a career for yourself. But things have changed a lot, right? Over the last 15, 20, 25 years, I've seen myself in front of my eyes. India has grown a lot. India has changed a lot. So has the kind of careers or the career opportunities which people can make, right? 20 years back, 30 years back, maybe this was the ultimate career choice. Now it is not, right? There are many, many career opportunities available. If you do not know about them, you might just get sucked into this cycle without having complete information, and that might lead to unintended consequences, right? Sometimes what happens is you get into it just because, power, prestige, etc. But as humans, power, prestige might be important, but what I'm doing on a day in and day out basis, because it is also a career and a role at the end of the day. So the attributes of it, as I said, might work for some people, might not work for other people, right? If they do not work for you, you might like power, prestige, for some point of time, maybe for 1 month, 2 months, 1 year, 2 year. But beyond that, it might just become really difficult for you to survive in that setup.
Right.
So talk, gather more information, and then decide very objectively whether as a career this would work out for you or not. For some people, it might be a natural choice that way. For others, it might not. And I'm being very serious about it.
Right. So just by looking at the face of it, just by getting some information or maybe going through some reels, you cannot decide whether
Correct.
this is for you or not.
I'm being honest. Our parents have seen the India, 25, 30, 40 years back. At that point of time, of course, civil services, the ultimate, you become a babu, that's it. You have achieved whatever you want to do in your life, right? Everything is set, and, life is set. But India today has changed a lot, Civil services might still be a career to aspire for, but there are many, many other career opportunities. If you do not know about them, you are essentially leaving out a big chunk of career making opportunities, which you might potentially explore. It might work for you. You might still make a lot of money and drive a lot of change, whatever you want to do. There are career opportunities which you can explore outside civil services.
All right. Yes, that certainly sounds interesting. When we go back to the time when you started preparing for UPSC, you were saying that no, you smashed everything. You were a dropper throughout your life. I'm already aware about it. So did you had a backup plan in mind at that time? To say maybe if things will not work out, this is what I will do.
Okay, so let me talk about my mental state, and I think that would resonate with many people who prepare for civil services, right? Because it started in childhood. In my heart, I knew I'm gonna be making it. There was not even a 1%, doubt that it won't happen. I just knew that I would make it. I have it in me to make it. I have all the attributes to qualify the examination. Forget about what you get, what role you get, what is the role about, that I may not have a lot of idea about. But I knew from the attribute perspective, I have it in me to qualify this examination. Like absolutely I will smash. I have had absolutely no doubts about it, right? That was the mental state. It might not happen in 1 year, right? For various reasons, because I was also aware of the fact that there are uncertainties, right? But because the way I think and I have thought through, my entire career, if there is even a one seat available out of the entire, country, I would be sitting there. That was the mindset. Okay.
Alright.
But I also knew that I come from a particular background, right? And just in case things don't happen, I have to immediately switch, because the kind of risk taking capabilities I had, it was very less. I couldn't be part of it for like really long, sustain myself, because that was not what I had as part of, where I come from and various other factors, right? So despite being sure that I would smash it, I have all the attributes and qualities needed to qualify this examination. Forget about the career. But also, I was aware of the fact that I do not have really big risk taking capabilities. I cannot be in this cycle for like really long, sustain myself, because, because of the particular background I come from, that is just not possible. So I went to Accenture, I worked there, all of that. I knew that I could sustain myself for 2 years, 3 years, but just in case, 0.00001%, if I'm not able to make it, I also need to find a career for myself outside this exam, howsoever much unwilling I might be. So that was the reality, Jigyasu. Okay. So that led me to pursue certain things in my career. For example, a post-graduation, maybe I might not have done it. I could have just jumped into it after graduation. I got into Accenture because I wanted some, market exposure. Of course, just to build my profile, because I just couldn't take that much of risk, because I was aware and was practical about my realities. Although I was never doubtful, but I was also practical at the same time.
All right, that sounds interesting. So basically, you should be aspirational and confident, but at the same time, you should be very, very
Of
pragmatic.
course, we all come from various backgrounds. Also, even if you come from a solid background, you can sustain yourself for 6, 7, 8 years. I am not a votary of, especially in these times, spending so much time preparing for this examination, where the outcomes are very uncertain, and B, the rewards might not align with your aspirations once you are into the services. And you might end up losing a lot if you end up making it a never-ending exercise, than gaining even if you make it after 6, 7, 8 attempts. That is what my position is.
Right. Completely agreed. In fact, when we at Rebounds talk to UPSC aspirants, at least 50-60% of them come from middle class or lower middle class kind of background, the kind of background we come from.
Correct.
So they usually cannot afford to spend 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, or basically staking their whole career in the name of UPSC preparation.
You're right. But what really disheartens me, really shocks me, is the fact that we've been talking to people who aspire to be civil servants for the last 3 years around, maybe more, 3.5, maybe 4. There are people who come from really weak backgrounds, people who are yet not there when it comes to making a career out of it. And I'm talking about career in general, forget about civil services, etc., who for various reasons end up spending much longer than they should ideally while preparing for this examination, taking everything on the line. And that really scares the shit out of me. I don't think people need to be educated that the outcomes are really uncertain. When the outcomes are uncertain, you have to plan accordingly. You cannot stake your everything and then, be clueless about it if things do not work out. And that really scares the shit out of me, that there are many, many such people who stake everything on this examination, And when things do not work out, they are really clueless in terms of what to do next.
All right. That completely makes sense. In fact, we interacted with a lot of such candidates with similar background. So when we talk about your journey, then what was that time when you decided that maybe now is the time when I need to stop my UPSC preparation, irrespective of how much confident I am about it? Was it a trigger, a slow realization? Can you walk me through that time?
Like I said, I was practical about it. Although I knew if it doesn't happen in one attempt, it might happen in second attempt. I never thought about a third, to be honest.
Okay.
Right?
Hmm.
I was so confident. I was smashing everything in my career, including school, college, that I knew if not one, it would be two. But at the same time, I was also practical, right? If it is not two, then I don't have the bandwidth or the leeway to go to a third one.
Right.
That I knew for sure. No matter what, a third one is not happening because I just don't have that much of bandwidth and leeway available with me that I can spend full time. And I'm talking about full time here, right? Not along with job, etc. Full time, I cannot spend maybe more than 3 years preparing for this examination because that doesn't work out for me, right? I cannot be a fool, however confident I am, to go into it and with the attitude that who cares. I couldn't do that, and that was the ultimate driver. It was not a trigger, it was nothing. Of course, I was shocked beyond belief when I couldn't qualify the mains examination. Yes, it took some time to sort of realize what happened. As they say, life happens when you are busy making plans. So same thing happened with me. But as I just didn't give myself a chance for a full-time third attempt because I knew that's just not there on the table, right? That is how the thinking was. So once the thinking is like that, there is no question of if you do not qualify mains, you go for another pre. You might go for another pre, but you have to look for options, right? Because the bandwidth or the leeway available is only that much, right? There is not a lot you can do about it.
Right.
And I would suggest people to think on similar lines because it will really help them a lot in terms of clarity, because otherwise there is no exit to this cycle before you complete 6 years or maybe 10, who knows?
Right.
There are a lot of people we talk to, UPSC, state services, what services, I really don't know. People spend 10 years and then, it's very miserable state. I'm sorry to say, use this word, but that is what the truth is.
Right, absolutely. I completely agree with you. Now, for someone who's watching this video, can you tell me maybe how should they decide that this is the right time to come out of the cycle? Is it the number of attempt or is there any other methodology? What is your take on this?
First of all, there is no one right answer. My take is very simple. You go for a graduation in India, 3 years, not just India, anywhere else also, many places, right?
Right.
Post-graduation, 2 years.
Right.
If you are an engineer like you are, 4 years, right?
Right. Absolutely.
So in 4 years, if you can do an engineering, in 3 years, if you can become a graduate, there is no examination on this earth which deserve, in terms of preparation time, more than 3 years. Many people come to us and say that I haven't given my best yet. Even after spending 5 years, it is the same sentiment. I haven't given my best. Sometimes I haven't got the opportunity to join the right coaching. Other times, various things happened in life, family, etc. I couldn't give my best, etc., etc. Things happen with everyone. You are not unique. You haven't given your best, own it up. The problem may be inside you, not in external factors. Owning it up is the most important thing. Be very realistic and honest with yourself. If you have not been able to give your best in the last 3 years, what makes you believe that you'll be able to give your best in the 4th year or the 5th year or the 6th year or the 7th year, right? Be very honest and brutally honest with yourself. No matter what your parents say, no matter what your friends say, you know yourself well more than anyone else, right? And like I said, 3 years, you do a graduation. So no exam in this on this earth, in this universe, deserves more than 3 years of your full-time preparation. Let me be very emphatic about it. You may like it, you may not like it. More than 3 years means you are wasting your time on a pursuit which might not yield results which, as per the time which you spent. It is as simple as that. You might agree with it. Yes, there are many examples, every year people come after 6 years, 7 years, this person has made it, that person has made it. Okay, maybe yes. They are extremely lucky. Not everyone is. Everyone has to be realistic. After all, it is the time period of prime youth, right? You cannot spend this youth after an examination where you are every year reading the same thing, doing the same thing, just totally wasting time. Neither are you growing as a professional, nor are you growing in terms of your knowledge, experience. If you come out at whatever, period of time, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, trust me, howsoever hard you try to convince people that this has been a transformative journey, this and that transformation ends in 3 years. That's it. After 3 years, it is repetition. It is not transformation. Transformation phase is over, right? I myself went through that transformation phase, and it is 3 years. 3 years is also a bit of a stretch, to be honest. If you are smart about it, 1.5, at max 2 years is good enough. Be very, very brutally honest with yourself and figure out, if you couldn't do it in 3 years, you have to look out for options outside. As simple as that. You might agree, not agree, that's your choice.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, after 3 years, you are revising the same Lakshmikant
Of course.
1 million times.
It is not
You gain anything.
transformation, it is repetition. You have to be confident about it. If you are up to qualify an examination, which is the most difficult on this earth, and if you are not even confident that in 3 years, whatever you have prepared might stand with you the next time you go for it without full-time preparation, then sorry, you don't deserve a place. Things are very logical, very rational, very simple. In 3 years, you can do a graduation. Now, people would argue that, look, this is not graduation, this is twice graduation, thrice graduation, four times of graduation. That is all crap. That is just that, cycle created by coaching industry to keep people in this cycle of examination preparation for a long time. Be rational about it, guys. Think about it. Yes, it is a good endeavor to go for. I went for it. Jigyasu, you also went for it, but it is not an endeavor where you just have to spend years on preparing for it. I don't think the benefit, overweighs the cost after a period of time.
Look, if you want, you can anyway prepare. You can take up a job.
Of course, that's what I'm saying. I never said get fully out of it. I was, in fact, not myself. So let me talk about my story. Because you are so passionate about this examination, and many people start thinking about it during school time, college time.
It's their identity.
Of course, there is no doubt about it. Like I said, I never thought I wouldn't qualify, right? If you are in such a state, it's in such a state where you never think about not qualifying, it is very difficult for you to come out of it.
Absolutely.
Right? So was with me. I was never out of it. I am, in fact, not out of it right now as well. Sometimes when I'm sitting on my own in silence, those thoughts still come in, right? Because you're so very passionate about it.
It was a childhood dream.
It is always a dream, right? And dreams never go away, right? I don't know, maybe after 20 years they would, but it still remains with me. But the thing is, you have to be very practical about it. Sorry, I lost the chain of thought. What was I talking about?
Preparing along with the job.
So I was talking about my story. 3 years I lost, I knew that it is complete. I cannot, whatever bandwidth leeway I had, I have exhausted all of it. I cannot go in terms of full-time preparation, right? But because it was a childhood dream, so, and I was very much into it emotionally, physically, etc., right? I was thinking that, okay, let me get a job somewhere and then I will prepare on the side, right? And that is what I suggest people. But for me, what happened was, yes, I planned to prepare on the side. I got into Pratham. I still remember I used to stay in Malviya Nagar. Pratham's office used to be in Safdarjung Enclave. Every day in the morning, I used to go to office thinking that when I come back, I will prepare for UPSC. I had those Hindu, Indian Express, everything subscription going on. I had all my books, etc. with me. But somehow I got so much sucked into the entire job or the work part of it. Although I was very passionate about it, I every day thought, okay, I will come back, prepare, etc., etc. But I could never fully commit to it for various reasons. Maybe I was enjoying my work. I always have good positive things to talk about Pratham Education Foundation. Maybe some other occasion we can talk about it. Such a beautiful organization. I was enjoying work, right? Maybe I found my calling. I really didn't. I really don't know. All I knew was every single day when I used to wake up, I used to think that when I come back, I will prepare. Maybe I used to spend 15, 20, 30 minutes. Definitely not more than that. Maybe sometimes when I used to be very, in this cycle, frustrated, I might ended up spending 2 hours. I filled up the form, but I never managed to appear for the examination. That happened after I got into Pratham year 1. It happened, it went by. Then I thought that, okay, let me get into PwC, another stable career. Then I will think about UPSC. UPSC was still not out. I still filled up the form. Same thought process. Okay, morning when I come back, I will prepare. Maybe I will stay near the office. Will give me more time to prepare this and that. But again, work was working out for me. I was doing well. People was appreciative of my work because, of course, when you are hardworking, and you have done well in general, you understand the field, so you do well. And when you start doing well, people appreciate your work, and then you receive appreciation, you start a bit of enjoying your work, right? So that happened, but I still filled up the form. I didn't appear again. So after this happened for 2 to 3 times, and then finally I decided to do away with this examination, filling the form but not appearing for the examination. And yeah, so slowly and slowly it just died away, but that emotion still remains.
Okay.
So it is still not out. When we sit sometimes, and when I am sitting in isolation, just immersed in my thoughts, I still feel, why did that not happen? Why did God do this to me? Right? So that is still there. But I have no complaints. I made a very good career out of it. I'm happy. I'm doing well, from a career perspective, from a family perspective. All of it is there. And that is what I suggest people. If you are very, very passionate about it, it might take time for this to go away, but it's all right. Things take their own time. For some people, it might be quick. For others, it might come in late. But that doesn't mean I spend my youth behind an examination where I know the odds are like really bad.
Okay.
I had a shot, I took at it, I gave my best, and that's about it. It was not meant to be, right, at the end of the day.
So there are no regrets in terms of maybe I could have done ABC XYZ thing.
Yeah,
Yes, we did everything, right?
I did everything. I'm a person who, before finding faults in the outside world, I see inside. Inside, whatever things I could do well, whatever I could not do well, those are my mistakes. I own them up. The universe provided 2 shots at this examination. I took those, and it didn't happen.
Okay.
That's it. That's the end of the story, right?
All right. But now there is one dilemma. You mentioned that when you joined the corporate world, you thought that maybe you will be appearing in the examination along with the job. But somehow you could not appear for it for whatever reason. Now the viewers who are watching this video, they will have this dilemma. Maybe agar aaj main job le liya, like Akshat, maybe I will again not be able to prepare for this exam. So I will end up losing my dream if I take up a job. What do you think about it?
No. So look, guys, you end up losing a dream. I really don't know what to say.
Basically, the question here is, was it more of a choice that you decided to not to appear in this examination again because you were in a way enjoying your work, you found your true calling, or was it a forced move that you were not able to prepare for it even if you wanted?
I think there is nothing forced, to be honest, and this should be the case with many, many people. It's not about being forced. It's about just how things pan out, right? As I said, life happens when you are planning things. So let that happen, right? Is how it should be. If you get into a role, if you are able to find time, I was not, but if you are able to find time, others, they should go for it. There is no one rule which should apply. The only rule which I talked about is 3 years for rational reasons. Beyond that, if you can find time, do please go for it. Go for it with all your might beyond the work hours. But just in case, as with me, life happens to others as well, and they start getting into work, and they start figuring out their career beyond the examination cycles. Let it be. It is not like the end of dream. We are humans. We never have one dream, right? We have multiple dreams, right? So, and that is the beauty of life, right? The way we used to think, let's say 20 years back, we don't think the same way today.
Right.
Absolutely. I used to dream my career in a particular way 20 years back. Now I don't dream the same way, right? For example, rebounds happened, right? In my wildest dreams 5 years back, I never thought that, there would be something called as rebounds which would happen.
Right.
So it happened because I allowed it to happen, right? If I would have just been in that cycle, UPSC, then state PCS, then God knows what CS, would all of these things have happened? The answer is no, right? So until unless you be open for opportunities and you be open for taking on additional challenges, be confident on your capabilities and take the word, with open arms, there are immense possibilities. There are many, many names, many examples where people have done immensely prestigious, powerful, impactful things, both in the services, outside the services, right? People who have done excellent, like I'm talking about youth in their career, who might not even know, despite being in India, that there is something called as UPSC. So you have to just open to multiple possibilities and things open up, It's just that you have to be very receptive to these changes. If you just keep yourself restricted in one single room in maybe Rajendra Nagar, no problems for people who are doing it. They should do it. In general, you are taking yourselves away to the kind of possibilities you can explore Once you come out of that cycle, if you are good, the world is your canvas, just paint it the way you want. You do not want to use the same stroke every single time, right?
Right.
And that is how it works. I'm happy. It's not like I'm, sad with my career or stuff like that. Yes, that unfulfilled thing still remains. Sometimes it sort of bothers me, but I'm absolutely happy with what I've, done, achieved in general, right? And I look to many, many more possibilities in future. That is how life should be. And it also comes with, when you become old, although I'm not, then you realize that this is what life is, right?
In fact, when I talk about my journey, when I look at it, it was like I gave my best attempt. I spent around 3 years preparing for this exam, did everything which I could. But when I was not able to qualify out of it, I just moved out. So it's not like when I was working in this job, my focus was only about on giving my best as part of that role without bothering about UPSC because I have done everything for it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, look, things play out very differently with different individuals, right? Every human being is unique in that sense, right? When I say my story or when you're talking about your story, that really doesn't mean everyone's story should be like that.
Right.
Right. But there are certain rules of the game and certain benchmarks which I really want people to know and follow. Beyond that, it is your story, your life. Own it up. For some people, it might be, once you are out, you are out. For others, it might take some time. For others, like me, it might take a lot of time, right? It is all right. We are dealing with multiple emotions as human beings on every single day basis, right? Sometimes, your child did something, you're very happy about it, right? Other times, you yourself did something, you're very happy about it. Sometimes you're sad about maybe, someone in your family is not well and stuff like that. So these are all human emotions. You have to learn to deal with them. But one thing which I really want people to realize is be truthful to yourself, guys. If you are this is an examination, and this is what I tell people who reach out to us, as part of Rebounds also. Even if you are the best in this universe, that doesn't mean you will qualify this examination. Because there are certain things you can control, there are other things you cannot.
Right.
And that can repeat every single time. Every cycle is independent. So universe gives you few shots at it. You take it, give your best. Beyond that, move on, because there are multiple other possibilities universe will open up, which you have to own it. And you cannot do that if you just keep striking at the same thing again and again.
Okay, all right. That completely makes sense. You have become a family man. You have started giving
Of
example
course,
of a child and other stuff.
If I have a child who is now 4-year-old, and I'm a family man.
Absolutely. So Akshat, now going back to the time when you planned to come out of UPSC cycle and decided to build your career in public policy. So how you figured out that maybe public policy is the domain where you should be building your career, or in fact, way back in 2016, was public policy even a career the way it is now?
It has always been a career, no doubt about it. It's not like, public policy has taken birth in the last 5, 7, 10 years. It's not like that. There were roles the way they are these days. But public policy as a term or buzzword was not there, of course. When I came out of college back in 2012, when I came out of Delhi school, careers were there, but people used to work, in development sector in various capacities as policy advisors, as consultants, but no one used to refer to it as public policy, right?
Okay.
No master's degree programs existed, absolutely zero in India for public policy. The way we see, these days, many universities, both public and private, are offering master's programs or even bachelor's program in public policy. That did not exist, zero. The career was there, people used to work, the name was not there. And just FYI, even the name of data science was not there at that point of time. Okay. The careers were there, people used to work it, but no data science. It used to be data analytics. So that was the times I'm talking about. People used to go for master's degree outside. Outside India, there used to be public policy or, public administration masters. In fact, a lot of bureaucrats used to go for that and then come back and move out of civil services and do various things, right? But as a degree program or career opportunity, the buzzword was not there, but careers were there. So when UPSC didn't work out, I wanted to move out of our market. Of course, like with many people, I was severely underconfident. It takes a beating, your confidence, takes a beating, like I was saying. By then, I had smashed everything. This was the examination where I could not smash things, and hence my confidence was severely beaten, right? I was hesitant And this is the mistakes which I made also. I was hesitant to reach out to my colleagues, to reach out to my seniors, my juniors, that look, now I want to get into the market. So help me out. I was very hesitant to take help of. And that is also the reason I'm very proud that we have built Rebounds, right?
Okay.
So at that point of time, very hesitant. And I guess that also made me take a lot of time to realize my potential, right? Severely underconfident, hesitant to reach out to people because I just smashed everything, up till that point of time. And I just wanted to figure out myself without any help, not even close friends, right? Because, you feel that, how would you seek help, right? And there were no professional outlets, so to say, like Rebounds at that point of time to sort of help people, guide people, mentor them without any judgment, so to say, right? But I knew myself. There are certain things which I always like doing. One is, of course, this 3-year journey was transformative. So I knew India much better than, maybe before 3 years, right?
Absolutely.
I knew myself slightly better than maybe 3 years back. So I knew certain things I enjoy doing, certain things I'm good at. When you are open to opportunities, like with anyone else, I started... I'm not sure LinkedIn was there at that point of time, or it was there, I had my account or not, I really don't know. But I started visiting websites of organizations where I can potentially get in, right? I used to also get few emails around referrals, etc. as part of our college portal. And that also, a couple of times I went for their interviews, and because of low confidence, they ended up rejecting me. And that sort of became a spiral, right? You go there, sometimes what I saw was, and this is something I really don't speak openly, but your juniors interviewing you, because they might be juniors from a college perspective, right? People graduating out of college after me, sitting in my interview and interviewing me. But from a professional experience perspective, they were seniors, right? But I just had 1 year of experience. What to talk about it? Or maybe 1.3 or something like that. So it was not a very good situation to be in, although I should not have taken it the way I took it at that point of time. But yeah, your confidence gets a beating because, the way your life has panned out for the last 15-20 years and the way, it is happening for the last 3, 4, 5 months. But thankfully, I knew somewhere, during UPSC, I had read about ASA report and stuff like that. I was just doing some Google. I landed at Pratham's page. There was a role around monitoring and evaluation. I really didn't know what monitoring, evaluation, etc. is. All I knew was they were looking for people who knew a bit of education sector and enjoyed numbers. So I applied. And another funny story, because your confidence takes a beating, right? So I applied as an analyst. Analyst is like the entry-level role. And thankfully, they reverted back. Maybe not a lot of people were applying for that role at that point of time, or I really don't know what they saw in my CV. They reverted back. And of course, the gap years were also there, so I somehow structured that in my CV, applied. They reverted back saying that, look, here's this assignment, you take it up and get back to us. So I opened up the assignment. It was more about numbers, insights for their program, etc., etc. I had smashed everything, right? So I could smash the assignment also. Assignment was a small thing to do for me, right? I did that, exactly that. And I sort of delivered my assignment. And of course, I knew I did well, but you are so underconfident, you really don't know what is going to be happening. But then I got a reward saying that, okay, I was at that point of time in my hometown, right? Where even having the internet was a luxury, to be honest.
Right, absolutely.
Forget about internet, even electricity was a luxury. So I went to Delhi, went to their office, and that's when I was interviewed. Those guys knew that the assignment is good, so they asked few questions, counter questions on the assignment, and I could answer them, right? I had smashed things, so it was not a big thing for me. So they liked it, and then they said that, look, you are good, we won't hire you as an analyst, we would hire you as an associate. That was first moment post UPSC where I thought I have something in me. It boosted my confidence, right?
Not that bad.
For obvious reasons, right? It boosted my confidence. And I'm talking about back in, 2016. It's been a long time now. It doesn't feel like that. So that boosted my confidence that, look, I have few things to offer to the market, so to say. And people can pay me for my skills. And yeah, so that happened. I really didn't know a lot about Pratham, to be honest, at that point of time. I really didn't know that they are one of the prestigious, biggest players in the education space in India. I didn't know all of it. All I knew was there is a role. I went for it. I took the assignment. I took the interview. They are ready to hire me, not as an analyst, but as an associate. But at the back of my mind, I was still not very sure about it, right? Neither were my parents. nor were my friends, nor were, people who I told that, look, I'm going to be working with a non-profit, which is Pratham. As I was unaware about Pratham standing in the market, so were everyone in my circle. So I didn't even come out openly and say that, look, I got a role. I just joined because, nothing else was working out. After joining also, I didn't realize that Pratham is a big thing, because, your confidence take a beating and all of those things again and again. After 3 to 4 months, I slowly started realizing that, look, people are good, work is good, and it is a big brand. That's when I thought that, okay, something is happening, not everything is bad. After 3 to 4 months, this realization happened to me that, look, it is a big brand. So you are fortunate to land there. And of course, good culture, good people, etc. I really liked it. I absolutely say even today, 5-6 places I've worked at, Pratham has the best culture.
All right. That sounds interesting. Can you also, for our viewers, can you also double click on the kind of work which is done at Pratham? Or maybe how does a usual day look like?
Look, it's a difficult question to answer because usual day depends upon what you are into, right? I was part of monitoring and evaluation. Other parts are people are into program management, research, implementation, etc., etc. It depends. All said and done, all days are good. You look forward to the next day because next day would bring in more challenges, more interesting people to talk to, and drive change on the ground. All said and done, what I can say is every single individual is driven for change, which is what you typically look for when you are working with a non-profit.
All right, that sounds interesting. But for our viewers who are watching this video, many of them are not aware about the kind of work which even a prestigious organization like Pratham is doing. So can you just double click a bit on the what kind of work is typically largely done as part of these organizations?
If I talk about development space in general, what are people doing? People are essentially, working towards bringing change in society or the country in general, right? For example, if I talk about Pratham, they have various programs catering to different, segments in the education space, right? For example, I used to be part of early childhood education program, right? So for early childhood education, there would be a team working on the ground implementing. There would be a team managing the program. Then there would be a team which was the one I was part of, which is about monitoring how the program is being implemented, and if there are any issues, feeding that to the implementation and management units, in a timely manner, so that certain improvements can be made. And periodically also assessing what change are we driving on the ground. Then there is a team who is doing research, there is a team who is building assessments, there are other teams, finance, accounts, etc., which are general functional roles. So that is how Pratham works. That is how any other organization would work for that matter. Now it is up to you. For example, if you want to get into Pratham, you have to see whether it is monitoring and evaluation type of roles which work for you, or is it program management roles which work for you, or is it research roles which work for you, or is it implementation roles which work for you, and various other things. Also, like me, you might not know at the start what works for you. So you can figure it out. As I was saying, let life come to you. You don't have to be overly concerned, oh my God, I don't know at this point of time, what do I do? That's all right. Just read the job description. If it sounds interesting, go for it. You will figure out, after some point in time. It's not a challenge. Let it be.
All right. So don't get stuck into this analysis.
Yeah, of course. You just have to move forward. Whatever happens, only good will happen.
All right. Now, for our audience, can you also tell one of the most interesting project which you did as part of your role at Pratham?
I won't say most interesting. What I will say is work which took me out of my comfort zone. As I said, I was part of MNE. So I was part of the central team at MNE. One of the things which the team I was part of was responsible to was training people, our state teams and on-ground teams, to collect the right data for us. Also, training, for example, I was part of early childhood education, to training people who are actually running those Anganwadis and Balwadis to enter data in the right manner and the right format, and making them realize it is an important activity. Only when they realize it is an important activity, they do it, right? So for this purpose, I had to travel the length and breadth of the country, organize training sessions or deliver training sessions. People used to look forward to my expertise in this area. And there used to be like many people in one big training hall, and you're training them either to understand numbers, or to understand that numbers are important, or to help them make sense of graph charts and numbers, simple numbers. I'm not talking about complicated ones. So that really took me out of my comfort zone. Before that, I never did that. I never thought my work would have so much of impact. I could see in front of my eyes on the ground. And that was the moment for me. Multiple such moments in my journey with Pratham.